Hope you enjoyed your Thanksgiving. We got a good one for you today to wrap up a busy week. The FCS playoffs are right around the corner. The NFL schedule is heating up. A lot to get into as we get into a fun weekend. Hot Mic starts right now.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. I was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota. Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Friday morning. Welcome to this day after Turkey Day edition of Hot Mic on WDAY Extra, KSFL TV. Hello to everybody in Sioux Falls. KNBN, hello to everybody in Rapid City. Also streaming on inform.com and WDAY+. Happy Black Friday. It's a chilly one out there. There's no doubt about that. Luckily, there's no snow coming down, so your travel should be good to go. Appreciate you for joining us. Thanks for joining us to wrap up the week here on this Friday morning edition of Hot Mic. No, I am not Dom Izzo. We're finally giving him a day off. He enjoyed Thanksgiving. We had the show yesterday. He enjoyed Thanksgiving with his family. And we're giving him the long weekend here as we gear up for the FCS playoffs that are starting tomorrow. And then the Bison, before you know it, they're back in action at the Fargo Dome. Looking forward to that. In the meantime, it's good to be back in the big chair. It's been a while. It's been a while since I've been in this room. It's been a while since I've been in Fargo. I've been MIA all week, the entire week. We had quite the stretch here in November. I went from the Dakota Bowl games to state volleyball, and then mix in NDSU basketball and football. It's been a big stretch, not just for myself, but for Dom and for everybody working behind the scenes here at WDAY. It's been quite the stretch, and it's not going to slow down anytime soon. I'll tell you that much. I was looking at the schedule for this weekend with what's going on in the world of sports, our schedules with what's going on with high school athletics, North Dakota State athletics, our broadcast schedule. The month of December is going to be a lot of fun. There is no doubt about that. So I'm happy to be back. I was gone. I was back home in New Prague, Minnesota. That's where I'm from, about a 4-hour drive away. So I was there all weekend. Left on Sunday after NDSU wrapped up the regular season with the win over St. Thomas. I hightailed it back home. Spent the weekend there with my family. I had a great Thanksgiving yesterday. We finally got the chance to eat. That was the big conundrum in our household. I know Dom was talking about it yesterday. When was the right time to eat on Thanksgiving Day? The argument in the Getzinger household is always, what day is a good day to celebrate Thanksgiving? Because we're all busy. We all got stuff going on. My dad works in radio. I do this. So holidays are always an interesting scheduling conundrum. But we finally got it done. We tried to do it on Sunday, and then that got the kibosh put on it because the Colts were playing on Sunday against Kansas City in a game that I don't want to think about too much. And then as the week went on, everybody's working, and we finally got to it yesterday. I slipped into my food coma at about 1 o'clock, somewhere in there, noon, 12:30. I was gone. I was out of it. And then finally woke up to my nephews jumping on my chest, which is always a great day to wake up, or a great way to wake up on Thanksgiving after you just had a monstrous meal. But got that out of the way, and then I hit the road and came back up here. And I tell you what, that drive from the Minneapolis area up here does not get any shorter. The whole way up, I was just thinking, man, I give props to the Moorhead Spuds for making that many trips up and down during the football season, and now the hockey and basketball seasons coming up here. But nonetheless, happy to be back, rested, ready to go, growing out the playoff beard a little bit here. Don't worry, that'll be gone by Monday if I had to guess. But I had to give it a shot in the week that I had off. It's been a good time. I have 1 million pounds of food in my fridge, as I'm sure all of you do, ready to go. I'm set for food for the next couple of months. My question now is, what do I do with the leftovers? Everybody says make it into a sandwich. I hear that's a big thing. Just stockpile it all up into a sandwich. Might have to do that for the rest of the time being. Hope you enjoyed your holiday. Hope you're going through Black Friday today. Get your Christmas shopping done. Our tree's already up as well. We're ready to go. I'm fighting out of the food coma, so it's going to be a good weekend. We got a great show lined up for you today. Busy weekend in the world of sports. FBS college football, FCS college football, you name it, locked and loaded today and tomorrow. The NFL's in full swing, as we mentioned. Games yesterday, which we'll get to in just a little bit. Game today as well. Don't forget about that. Chicago and Philadelphia coming up a little bit later this afternoon. Besides that, today I had to do a lot of arm twisting to get him in here, but we got a special guest. Kyle Emanuel will join us at 9:30. Haven't had him on the show for a little bit. I believe he's down in Nebraska right now celebrating his Thanksgiving yesterday and getting ready for the big Iowa-Nebraska game today, so we'll give him some crap on that. So that's coming up at 9:30. We'll talk about the big news. That's the big thing that I missed. I was away. I was trying to stay off of my phone, but when the big news pops in that Coach Polasek signs his extension, you kind of get brought back into things. So congratulations to Coach Polasek for inking the extension on his deal through 2023. So we'll dive into that with Kyle coming up at the bottom of the hour, 9:30. We will also chat about year in review, if you will, with North Dakota State football, what his thoughts are going into the postseason, his reaction to the FCS bracket. We'll get to that a little bit later on as well. Also coming up later on today, Dean Wilson. We're going to chat some hockey with our guy, our hockey analyst, our expert, Dean Wilson. Happy to have him on. He'll join us at 10 o'clock. Hockey season's in full swing. The NHL, college, high school. He'll give us the rundown on everything. That's coming up a little bit later on. If you missed the show yesterday, Dom's dad was on the show yesterday. He will not be on the show today. He ran through his picks. So if we got time a little bit later on, we can go through that. Dom had a great show yesterday on a Thursday morning to get your Thanksgiving started. Eric Schmidt was on. If you missed any of that, you could podcast it. It's up on inform.com and WDAY+. But I want to start the day, or the morning, I should say, by recapping what we saw yesterday in the NFL, and mainly doing this for all of those that fell asleep after their Thanksgiving meals and missed some of the football action, because I fall into that category. As I mentioned, I knocked out. I missed a good portion of the games, but here's what happened in case you missed it. The first game of the day, the Packers and the Lions. And as I was sleeping, I found out after I woke up that my fantasy team went to shambles because of this. Amon-Ra St. Brown goes down early in the ball game, midway through the first quarter. He would be ruled out the rest of the game. Oh, no, my weekend is ruined in the Hot Mike Fantasy League. Oh, man. But nonetheless, the game itself was pretty solid. 30 seconds into the second quarter, Jordan Love finds Deontavian Wicks. He had a whale of a ball game, Wicks did. Packers up 10-0. A little bit later on, Lions score. The Packers put up another one, so it's 17-7 at this point. But right before the end of the half, the Lions would strike back. Jamison Williams on the screen, breaks a couple of tackles, launches his way into the end zone. What a day for Williams. 7 receptions, 144 yards. The Lions would make it a 17-14 game. We go early into the third. North Dakota State stand up. Jordan Love finding Christian Watson for 51 yards. Christian Watson had a whale of a ball game as well. He's been great with the Packers this season when he's able to play. He would give the Pack the lead, but the Lions would strike back. 24-21, now under 2 minutes left to go. Love finding Wicks again, this one near the pylon. It would count for a touchdown. So we got an exciting one here to start Thanksgiving. 31-21. Detroit Down, but not out, but this one helped. Micah Parsons, phenomenal. 2.5 sacks on the day. They would force a field goal, 31-24. Then on the ensuing drive, this was probably the catch of the Thanksgiving lineup. Wicks hauling in another one. He lost his shoe in the process, and Green Bay got to celebrate with the turkey to open up Thanksgiving Day in the football schedule. 31-24 was the final score. Congratulations to the Bison guy, Christian Watson, for finding that deep score. That was pretty cool to see. I know that got a lot of people up here excited. No doubt about that. So the Packers take the win over Detroit, 31-24. That'll adjust the NFC North standings. We'll look at that in just a second. But can I also take a moment to say, and I don't know if this is a controversial take or not, maybe this is my hot take of the day since we're on Hot Mic, those Lions uniforms are horrible. They're horrible. It looks like they put duct tape on a blue shirt and just slapped together a bland silver helmet. I know it's tradition, but it's not good. But nonetheless, the longest played Thanksgiving rivalry between Green Bay and the Lions goes to Green Bay on the road. That's big for the NFC North standings. And again, we got Chicago coming up a little bit later on. Now, after I woke up, thanks to my nephews, with a beatdown on the couch, we carried over into the second game of the day, and that was Kansas City and Dallas. Two teams that not a lot of people like. I don't like Kansas City, I'll tell you that much, especially after last week after they beat the Colts in overtime. Dallas, you can have your opinions on Dallas, whatever they may be, but this was a pretty solid football game. We start with Dak Prescott, who's also on my fantasy team, by the way, throwing an interception to Justin Watson, 14-yard return on that, and the Chiefs would take over. Ensuing Chiefs drives, it's 1st and 10. Mahomes with a quick screen out to Rashee Rice, and he would take it to the house, 27 yards out. Chiefs would go on the board first, 7-0. Halfway through the first quarter, it's the same score. Cowboys on 3rd down. Prescott to CeeDee Lamb in the corner of the end zone, and we're tied at 7. Under 3 minutes left in the first. Still tied, 7-7. Mahomes showing off his legs, 16-yard scramble for the first down. Not too bad for the old man, if you will. Under 10 seconds left in the first. 4th and goal, and Mahomes would find everybody's favorite Travis Kelce. He's now got 10 career seasons with 5 receiving touchdowns, and the Chiefs would have the lead. But not for long. After a field goal, Dallas back with the football. Malik Davis with a 43-yard burst to go to the house. First 40-yard rushing touchdown for the Cowboys since 2022. But the scoring was not done there. Rashee Rice again back in the end zone. 21-20 now after a couple of more scores. Pretty good play here by the Dallas Cowboys as George Pickens would fight for a 39-yard gain. That would put the Cowboys inside the Chiefs' 10-yard line. 21-20 still. 3rd and goal. Dak Prescott with the dump off. Oh, this is getting exciting. 26-21 in the fourth quarter. They would go for 2, and they would get it. Now Dak Prescott backed up near his own 5-yard line. Deep ball downfield. He would connect with CeeDee Lamb for a 51-yard gain. And the Cowboys are back into Chiefs territory. Looking to put up another score. Pickens lost the football, but luckily it was recovered. That'll wake people up from their Thanksgiving naps, no doubt. 31-21. Chiefs are down but not out with under 4 minutes left to go. Mahomes scrambling, and this is just really impressive. This is Mahomes. Just wide open downfield. And he finds his man. That was Xavier Worthy for a 42-yard gain. Falling down. Patrick Mahomes, I know the season hasn't been great for the Chiefs, but that was pretty good. Game on the line here, 3.5 to go. They would go with a shot to the end zone, and when it would be brought in by Hollywood Brown, 31-28. Now Dallas has a chance to seal it, and they do. Prescott finding Pickens on the slant for the first down. That would be the end of the ball game. 31-28 final score. Dallas getting the win over Kansas City in the second game of the day on Thanksgiving. I was in the car. I tried listening to what I could with that game. Really, really exciting stuff. But congratulations to Dallas. Kansas City, now here's where I'm at. You go and beat the Colts, and as many know, it's well reported. I'm a Colts guy. We'll talk more about the Colts later. Don't you worry about that. They go and beat Indianapolis in overtime last week. You can't go and just beat Dallas and help us out a little bit. But nonetheless, 3-point win for the Dallas Cowboys. Thanksgiving tradition lives on. Another good game. The Cowboys uniforms, now that's something I can get behind. Those throwbacks there, that was something. And the other thing here, I know it's happened plenty of times before, and I'm sure if you were watching the game you saw it. How is the sun? How do you build that expensive of a stadium and you forget where the sun comes down? I know I'm geographically challenged, but I think I have an idea of where not to put stadium seats and where kickoffs can get altered because the sun's coming down in a dome. Nonetheless, if you saw that, there's pictures up online all over the place. That it was crazy. I don't know how anyone could play in those kind of conditions. But that wasn't our last game. 3 games in this Thanksgiving slate yesterday. Cincinnati and Baltimore was the last one, and this one was pretty interesting. Joe Burrow back in the lineup. First game since his toe injury in week 2. They're taking on the Baltimore Ravens. Things didn't start out great for Burrow. On 4th down, he would not connect with Jamar Chase, and that means change the shoes. Got to help the toe out a little bit. We go to under 7 minutes left in the first quarter. Ravens down 3-0. Derrick Henry with the pitch. This guy's on my fantasy team. He's helping me out. 8th season with 10 rushing touchdowns. Only LaDainian Tomlinson has more all-time, and the Ravens lead 7-3 at that point. Bengals would kick a field goal. It's 7-6. Lamar Jackson connecting with Isaiah Likely over the middle. This was interesting and controversial. He hurdles the defender, gets down to the goal line. They call it initially a touchdown. He gets the ball slapped away. After a review, they would say he fumbled, and it's a touchback. So wipe that off the board. Still a 1-point game. Joe Burrow later going deep downfield, connecting with Jamar Chase. And if these two are healthy, oh, look out. Cincinnati could be a force to be reckoned with. 7-9 after another field goal. Lamar Jackson, what are we doing here? What are we doing? Wrecking my fantasy squad. I know I've said that so many times here already this morning, but Lamar Jackson pump fakes, loses the football. A lot of turnovers in the ball game for Baltimore. A lot of turnovers. 12-7 at this point. Burrow back of the end zone. A one-handed grab by Tanner Hudson to make it a 19-7 lead for Cincinnati. Look out for the Bengals. They're on a roll. 19-14 after the Ravens would pick up a score. Burrow again, downfield connecting with his man, 26-14. Baltimore, still an opportunity to get some stuff done, and I mentioned the turnovers. Comes back to haunt them in the start of the fourth quarter once again. Lamar Jackson losing his grip, if you will. I don't know if you want to call it that or not. It just right to the defense. Demetrius Knight Jr. had the pick. It was a 39-yard return, still 29-14. We go to 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter. It's the same score. Lamar to Zay Flowers. He lost the football. Oh, man, if you're a Ravens fan, this was tough to watch. This was tough. Cincinnati goes on to win big, 32-14. Look out for the Bengals coming to town. Solid stretch from them. Solid showing on Thanksgiving. So that was the recap of what we saw yesterday for all of you that were sleeping through some of the games just like I was. That's the whole point of Thanksgiving football. Give you something to sleep through, wake up periodically, and get a little surprise through the end of it as well. If we look at the standings here with the loss, Baltimore in the AFC North, they're now right behind Pittsburgh. Again, Pittsburgh will play later on this week. The Bengals, 4-8. We'll see. There's still some time. There's a little bit of time. They can turn some things around. We'll see if they can become contenders here moving forward. They looked really, really good yesterday. No doubt about that. In the NFC North, the Bears play today, 2 o'clock against Philadelphia. Green Bay with the win. They're now 8-3-1. Detroit 7-5, and Minnesota's all the way down there in the basement. Tough for them, and it's not going to get any easier this weekend. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. plenty of other stuff going on. We'll take a look at the standings a little bit more later on in the show as we go through some of the picks throughout the week. A lot of football still to be played this weekend. I'm looking forward to it, no doubt. I know Dom was talking about it with his dad yesterday, what the viewership numbers could be like on Thanksgiving Day, and I did some really quick research this morning on just what the viewership totals were for those 3 Thanksgiving days, and it was kind of a record-setting day for the NFL on Thanksgiving. The tripleheader, it set a new record for total viewership, an average of 34.2 million viewers across all 3 games, and a total audience of 141 million. That's not bad. And that Kansas City-Dallas game, we all knew that was going to be the big one of the day, the big one viewership-wise. Over 50 million viewers at points throughout the game. It also featured the largest NFL audience on CBS in 25 years. Not too bad. People were watching football. There is no doubt about that. So that was the stretch yesterday. That leads us into a busy NFL weekend coming up this week. We'll give you the full rundown of the slate coming up later on in the show. That being said, I mentioned it, a couple of great guests joining us on this Friday morning as we wrap up this holiday week. Kyle Emanuel will join us at 9:30, 9:35, chat about North Dakota State. Coach Polasek inking an extension with the Bison as well. We'll get his reaction to the FCS playoffs, which start tomorrow, by the way. A lot of football games happening tomorrow, and we'll do a year in review on what we've seen from the Bison as the regular season has come to an end and the postseason is right around the corner. Then to start hour number 2, just after 10 o'clock, our guy Dean Wilson will join us, the only man who's ready. I've never met anyone more ready for Christmas than Santa Claus himself. Dean Wilson will join us. We'll talk about the start of the high school hockey season, college hockey. I know he's a big Fighting Hawks fan. We'll give his thoughts on UND football as well when that comes up to start hour number 2. So a lot going on this Friday morning. We'll step aside when we come back. A lot more to go. Black Friday Hot Mic rolls on after this. Welcome back on this Friday morning edition of Hot Mic on WDAY Extra, KSFL TV in Sioux Falls, KNBN in Rapid City, and also streaming on Inform.com. Sam Getzinger filling in for Dom Izzo this morning, letting him enjoy the long weekend on this holiday week as we get ready for a very, very busy month of December coming up right around the corner. Reminder for you, Kyle Emanuel will be joining us in about 10 minutes. We'll talk some FCS football. I also have a really hot opinion I want to get his thoughts on regarding Thanksgiving food and, more importantly, Thanksgiving pies. I've been hearing a lot of smack talk about pumpkin pie as of late, so that's my burning question. What is the thoughts on pumpkin pie? I love the thing. I'll just start it there. So we'll chat with Kyle coming up in about 10 minutes. Before we get to him, want to circle back to the NFL here. Of course, we got the Vikings coming up this weekend. They have Seattle on the road, 3:05 start time for that on Sunday on Fox in Seattle. And we've heard the news throughout the week. J.J. McCarthy most likely won't be good to go. It's not officially ruled out. He's in concussion protocol right now, and there is a chance, there is a world where he could get cleared in time to come back. But in the meantime, it looks like the ball's going to go in the hands of Max Brosmer, the rookie out of the University of Minnesota, also out of FCS football as well, before transferring to Minnesota. Looks like he's going to make his first career start. So there is a world where JJ comes back, but it's not looking promising. And at this point, who doesn't matter. The Vikings are kind of out of contention here, let's be honest, but the offseason's going to be important. In the meantime, for this weekend, with the quarterback room as diminished as it is for the Minnesota Vikings, with JJ on concussion protocol, Carson Wentz out for the year dealing with his injuries, the Vikings went out and got some reinforcements, if you will, just the other day. Yesterday on Thanksgiving, they brought back an old familiar face. Desmond Ridder is back to the practice squad for the Minnesota Vikings. So all of you Vikings fans that have your Desmond Ridder jerseys collecting dust in the closet, you can dust them back out. He is back. It's been a while. If you remember, Desmond Ridder, he was picked up by the Vikings in September. He was released in October when McCarthy had his ankle issues. Now he's back. He has not played this season. I believe the last he played was in the preseason with the Bengals. So we'll see. Hopefully it doesn't get to the point where they need him throughout the season, but we'll have to see how quickly JJ can get back and what Max Brosmer can do. And I know there's been a lot of talk about JJ, especially as of late. They've lost their last 3 games. This is the play here where we believe that he suffered his injury. He was reporting concussion-like symptoms on the travel back from Green Bay. The Vikings have won the last 3 to the Ravens, the Bears, and the Packers, and they have not been pretty. And they're going to go into this game in Seattle without their left tackle, Christian Darrisaw. Leg issues for him. Without the left guard, Donovan Jackson. Oh, they practiced without them. I don't imagine they'll be back. JJ has been going through limited practices this week. It's not looking great, so the ball will probably go into the hands of Max Brosmer. But now what's going to be interesting, and this is where I tie in my Indianapolis Colts, and I never love it when the Colts and the Vikings are in the same conversation, but they are here. This offseason is going to be important on how they want to handle this quarterback situation. Do they want to keep the eggs in the basket of J.J. McCarthy? And I know they've put a lot of stock into them. They've let Daniel Jones go to my Colts. They've let Sam Darnold walk to Seattle, who they'll see this weekend. Lots riding on the line with J.J., and it has not been looking well. And now, yes, he's only played in a handful of games. Yes, a lot of elite quarterbacks have put together really good careers after starting bad in their first couple of seasons. Peyton Manning comes to mind, threw about 1 million interceptions in his first year with Indianapolis. But here's what I found interesting that was reported earlier this week by ESPN's Jeremy Fowler. Anthony Richardson seems like he wants out of Indianapolis, and he wants to go somewhere that's under the Sean McVay coaching tree. And of course, Kevin O'Connell falls under that, and Kevin O'Connell has said in the past that he has respect for Anthony Richardson. Is that a guy that the Vikings go, I know this is all rumors at this point, but is that a guy that the Vikings go out and try to grab? To me, that seems like trying to fix a pipe burst with some duct tape. JJ and Anthony Richardson are very similar quarterbacks, but that's something that's up in the mix as we get closer to the offseason here for the Minnesota Vikings, what they want to do with this quarterback situation. Personally, I wouldn't like it. I've said it on this show multiple times. I would hate to see Anthony Richardson go and then light it up for another team, but that's something that's in the mix. Now, here's the deal with Anthony Richardson, and more on my Colts here. He is not back from breaking his orbital bone, which I'm not a doctor, but I think that's up in your face. A medical band snapped and broke his orbital bone, and so he's not back for the Colts just yet. And come to find out the other day as well, Daniel Jones, former Minnesota Viking great and now Indianapolis Colts great, he's playing with a fractured fibula. Again, not a doctor, pretty sure that's in your leg. That's not a good sign. Would love to have Anthony Richardson around just in case Daniel Jones gets injured later on in the year, but in the meantime, that doesn't sound like that's going to be the case. Now, they're saying that injury to Daniel Jones is nothing too serious, nothing to be worried about, but I would imagine if you fracture anything in your leg, that wouldn't be great. Riley Leonard, Notre Dame quarterback, who the Colts drafted this last year, is close by. My dad loves him, doesn't even know his name, but he loves him. So maybe he's in contention there. But the grand scheme of things, just an update on where the Vikings are at going into the game against Seattle. Desmond Ridder on the Vikings, J.J. McCarthy, probably not going to make it. So Max Brosmer's there. But keep your eyes on what potentially could happen later on throughout the year as we get towards the offseason. What do the Vikings want to do? Personally, for me, I know a lot of people are talking that you can't move on just yet, but in the way that football is right now, there's not a lot of time to wait around. Whether that's college football, the NFL, teams are expecting a splash early, and we'll see what they do with J.J. McCarthy. But that's the latest on that front as of right now. We'll step aside. When we come back, we got Kyle Emanuel waiting in the wings. We're chatting some FCS football, the playoffs starting tomorrow, and we get his thoughts on the NDSU season and what has gone down throughout the first 12 games of the year. That's coming up when we come back on Hot Mic.
Kyle Emanuel takes it all the way.
Upended at the 35-yard line. Emanuel.
Kyle Emanuel.
We love this player, the way he plays. Man, this guy makes plays.
Is sacked by Kyle Emanuel, the winner of the Buck Buchanan Award. That goes to the best defensive player in the country.
We haven't heard that music in quite some time. Happy to have him back. I had to do a lot of convincing to get Kyle Emanuel back on the show, but we finally got him joining us from parts unknown, I believe in Nebraska, after a big Thanksgiving meal. Kyle Emanuel joins us on this Friday morning to help wrap up the week. How you doing, man? I missed you so much. We had to get you to work some point this week.
Hey, I just need everyone listening to know that I think, was it this last year or it was last Christmas, Sam asked me for something similar, a request. Hey, can you come on Hot Mic? I'm hosting. I need you. I said no. Respectfully, I said no.
Sure.
And
was.
and you did not let me forget about it for the last year.
No.
So when the text came on Wednesday, I believe it was, I knew I had to make this work. So yes, you were correct. I'm in Schuyler, Nebraska, my childhood home, and we're geared up for Nebraska, Iowa coming up in about an hour and 20 minutes. And we're ready to go. Good to be with you, man. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was good. It was real good. I fell into a food coma. I got woken up by my two young nephews with a couple of sucker punches midway through the Packers-Lions game. So that was fun. But how about you? You seem like a turkey trot kind of family. Did you go and run around yesterday?
That's no. We actually did that last year, though.
Gross.
In Fargo, and
Gross.
It was 20 degrees. But no turkey trot this year.
Okay.
Just the traditional, similar to you, going to a food coma.
Yeah,
so that's good.
That's the only way to do that. Hey, before we talk about football, I need to get your thoughts on this because I heard Dom talking about it earlier in the week. And it was his take on pies. We had Pie Day here at the station a couple of days ago. French silk pie seems to be the favorite, which I don't disagree with. Love French silk pie. But I didn't realize it seems like everybody hates pumpkin pie. I love pumpkin pie. I would take pumpkin pie on my birthday over cake. That's where I stand on that. And then as I was going through yesterday, I had to get everybody's opinion. So I was texting a million people, and everyone's saying that they hate pumpkin pie. Please tell me that you like pumpkin pie.
So two things here. Number one, that is a burning hot take. Pumpkin pie over cake on your birthday.
I love pumpkin pie. I'm a big pumpkin pie guy.
Take. But number two, I love pumpkin pie.
Thank
with
you.
you. It's
Thank
awesome.
You. I
we
just
actually
needed someone to say that on the program.
We actually had a homemade Costco pumpkin pie at our family gathering.
Nice.
With homemade cream. Phenomenal. I had two pieces, put me back into a food coma. So yeah, I'm with you. I love pumpkin pie, especially at Thanksgiving.
Okay,
I'm not with you on, my birthday's in August. I don't want pumpkin pie in August, but
Dude,
for Thanksgiving, absolutely.
I'll go to Hornbacher's on a random day and just pick up a pumpkin pie, like in the middle of summer. That's where I stand on pumpkin pie. And I've heard so much slander about pumpkin pie over the last couple of days. I just had to get some reinforcements here. So I appreciate that. But let's get to the business at hand. I know we got you for a limited time with Nebraska coming up. The big news that happened this week, and I want to get your reaction to this. We were all wondering what's going to happen with Coach Polasek, with the swirling coaching rumors going around. We weren't quite sure if he was going to be sticking around or not, or if he was going to go to Oregon State. Colorado State was in the mix as well. But then the news comes out earlier this week, and if you missed Dom's conversation with Coach Polasek on Wednesday, you can watch that back on WDAY plus Inform.com, and I believe on YouTube, that he is sticking around, 7-year extension through 2023. What was your initial reaction when you heard that news about Coach P?
Yeah, I was pumped, obviously. I think, you hear these rumors and obviously I just assumed they were credible, Sam, because
Mm-hmm.
of the success he's had, because of who he is as a coach, as a person. I'm obviously a huge fan of his, played underneath him, especially on special teams. He was a special teams coordinator when I played at NDSU. So you just kind of have to assume the rumors are true. But obviously, as a former player, as a NDSU alum, yeah, I wanted him to stick around. I always say this about a I shouldn't say I always say this. I've kind of formulated this opinion about head coaches. I think a lot of people look at a head coach and they think, oh, especially in the NFL, you get this a lot. They have to be the best X's and O's person on earth. They have to have the best offensive strategy, all these things.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely, that helps. But to me, you have to be a great leader. You have to be able to hire great people that can handle those things, offense, defense, right? You have to be charismatic. You have to understand how to use the media, right? And I think you would know that, right? Just having interviewed him and interacted with, like, Coach Pasek understands the role that media plays. He is a promoter of the school. He gets out into the community, right? He does all the, I would call, like, intangible things that a head coach needs to do. Oh, and by the way, he's an excellent football mind. So I was beyond pumped that he's staying around Fargo. On a personal note, like, him and Jill, like, gotten to know, obviously I've known them, but I got to know my wife. Like, they're just great people. So, like, take away the football aspect of it, like, just to keep them in the Fargo community. I'm really excited about. And look, I think it also says some things about him as a person and what motivates him. Like, I know he didn't play at North Dakota State, but to me, he's about as Bison as it gets.
Mm-hmm.
And so, for him to be around Fargo for the foreseeable future, and really, the timing of it's perfect, right? The fact that you can kind of put that to bed, move on to the playoffs. No more thinking about, is the coach going to be, and that, especially the way college football is now with the transfer portal and all that, like, it's just something you don't want hanging over your head. So yeah, I'm excited to him staying around.
Right, you're exactly right. I love the timing on that. I hate that the coaching carousel falls in the window of postseason play, end of the regular season play for the FBS. It really could put a damper on what could be a special couple of months for these teams. So it was really cool to see that news come down, and you nailed it on the head too. Being a head football coach is a lot more than just the X's and O's. Grant Olson, Dan Larson, the offensive and defensive coordinators do a fantastic job, and the staff surrounding them do such a good job as well, that it's big for Coach Polisic to be the leader in the community that he has been. And we got other big coaching news as well that I want to get your thoughts on. Your good buddy, Brent Vegan, also taking his name out of the ring for the Oregon State job and announcing that he's extending with Montana State. What was your reaction when you heard that?
Well, I think, I could say similar things about Coach Vegan, right? That I said about Coach Polisic. Obviously, it's a different school, but I think it's nice in a world of everyone moving around and always, taking the money and jumping to the bigger job. And look, I know, I can almost guarantee you, Sam, there's more details around this. Maybe he wasn't offered the job. I don't know, right? But like, in a world that we are, or where we are in college football, to see two FCS coaches decide, hey, no, we're building something awesome at the schools that we're at right now, and I want to stay here and I'm going to commit to here. It sounds like we don't know the details, or at least I don't know the details around, what more program resources means for Coach Polisic, and it kind of sounded like something similar was thrown the way towards Coach Vegan. But two schools that, how often we talk about, I know Jeff Kolpak talks about this all the time, like teams that, or schools, universities that invest in football, right? And North Dakota State, Montana State, obviously, are right there at the top. And so they're doing the things that they need to do to keep good talent in the building. And so I'm happy for Coach Vegan, but I'm really just happy for the FCS. I don't think, you don't want to lose good coaches. And I think you need the Montanas, right? The Dakotas need the Montanas, the Montanas need the Dakotas in the FCS football. So the fact that he's sticking around, I think, is overall good for the FCS landscape.
Well, let's play into the rumor mill a little bit here. And, of course, with the extension of these two guys, you have to imagine that there's always talks about it, but moving up to the FBS level, that has to be ramping up here a little bit, or there has to be something that they know that the rest of the public doesn't know. Don't you imagine, with these two guys sticking around?
Well, what I think is that if they did know, they wouldn't say anything. Right.
Yeah, we heard that when Tim was in here with Dom. Yeah, they're not going to say anything, but you can read the tea leaves a little. If we're going to play into this a little bit, you have to imagine there's something.
Well, what I would say, and again, I don't know this for a fact, but what I would
Mm-hmm.
say is like NDSU for the past, and maybe Montana State too, but for NDSU for sure is positioning itself to be
Yes,
ready. And I think
right.
everyone understands that. Now, there's still people that come up to me, and I don't think they fully understand how this works. And they're like,
Right.
well, why doesn't NDSU just go call up the NCAA and say, hey, over here, we want to be FBS, like, let us in. It's like, well, it's not really how it works. Like, I think some people assume that NDSU is fielding calls from the Mountain West and all these different
Mm-hmm.
conferences, and they're saying, we're not ready yet. Call us back in another month or two. It's like, it's not happening, right? So
Right.
what it does mean, I think, is that, again, just kind of conjecture here, that Coach Posick sees that North Dakota State is taking the proper steps to be ready for it. That
Mm-hmm.
if that invite comes, like, they're going to be ready to go. And he obviously, I know he said this to Dom, like, he doesn't want to see someone else leading this program
Right.
from a different sideline once, if that does happen and they go FBS. So I thought that was pretty cool to, again, that kind of goes back to me being like, he is a Bison guy. If North Dakota State goes FBS, he wants to be the guy to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when it's going to happen. I think, it's a conversation we talk to death. But I have to assume it's at least looming, like you said.
So that's the big news that happened this week. We got a couple of minutes left here with our guy Kyle Emanuel as we get ready for the FCS postseason right around the corner. I got to get your thoughts on this because I know you're going to get pretty fiery about it. UND and SDSU both making it into the bracket this year. I'm sure you were watching the selection show just like I was. We saw Harvard pop up on the screen and thought, okay, that's not good news for North Dakota, at least for sure. But then come to find out that they're both in there after their wild game up in Grand Forks the other week. What's the thoughts on both of them getting in out of the Missouri Valley Football Conference?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll start with South Dakota State, and I think they obviously they deserve to be in, right? They 8-4, and I know they were on a slide with a 4-game slide and everything, but like they deserve to be in. I think they still deserve. I'm fine with them being in. I think most people are. Like, it makes sense that it was a win-in situation for them. They have the 2 good wins against Montana State and Youngstown State, so I'm absolutely fine with South Dakota State getting in after they won at Grand Forks. And even, this is where I kind of go back and forth a little bit. Like, UND, do I think they're one of the best 24 teams in the country? Yes, I do.
Yes.
Now, does that mean that their resume warranted them getting into the playoffs? Now, that's a little bit more up for debate. They have the good loss situation going for them, right? Like, they have the best losses in the country, if you want to put it that way. A combined, like, it's under 20 points.
Yep.
I guess
Kansas
the thing
State.
that was right, the thing that was surprising to me, Sam, is that they weren't even and I tweeted this out, like, they weren't even in the last 4 out,
Right.
or 4 in,
Right.
excuse me. That to me was like, so they were solidly in, so it didn't matter what happened in the game. Now, maybe if they get blown out, it's a different story, but they're also like kind of limping into the playoffs, similar to South Dakota State. I believe they've lost 3 of their last 4. So I did think that was interesting that the committee decided, hey, UND at 7-5 in a 12-game season, you're in, and you're solidly in. And it didn't really matter what happened at Grand Forks. So ultimately, I think the Valley is the best conference. I'm okay with them getting 6 in, even if Jay Walker isn't on the selection show. And maybe he doesn't see the rest of the FCS. But I did think it was odd that they weren't even listed as one of the last 4 in.
To me, the pod that North Dakota's in, they got Tennessee Tech in the first game, which is tomorrow at noon. Tennessee Tech is ranked 13th in the FCS bracket, and then the winner of that will go up against Tarleton, and then Lehigh, Harvard, and Villanova in that little pod there on that section of the bracket. UND could really be a dark horse, in my opinion, to finish pretty well in that spot. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think that, again, like I said, I think they are one of the better teams in the country. Now, they have some head scratchers, and I think they have to figure out what they're doing when they get a lead. Like, you could say the same thing about when they played at NDSU. Like, they just get so conservative. So to me, it's like, do you trust Jerry Kaminsky? I don't know, because it's like, are they worried he's going to make mistakes, and they get a little conservative? But without a doubt, they're talented enough to beat some teams and make a run in this. Now, if they had a couple home games, I think that would make them even more dangerous, obviously. But yeah, I think it lines up. I like any Valley school. And while we're at it, because I know we're short on time, I still think I don't know if I love NDSU's draw as a number 1 seed, and the fact that you potentially have to play Illinois State.
I agree. I was wondering about that too, because we saw Illinois State in Normal, and that was the closest game of the year up until that point for NDSU. Illinois State's not a bad football team. They're not bad.
No, The fact, the only reason they're there, I think, is because they lost by 30 to Southern the last
Right.
week. But to me, they should have been solidly, and they were, I believe, in the last four in. That is a team, and I could almost throw Southern Illinois in there too, and I know they're not on the bracket, but
Mhm.
like that's a team to me, Illinois State's like they could play with or beat most teams in the country. They could also come out and you're like kind of scratching your head, like what the heck just happened, like they did against Southern Illinois. So yeah, it's a scary team. Now they'd have to go on the road twice, but it's also not much travel. I think from Illinois, it's somewhat easy of travel. It's not like I believe like New Hampshire and Rhode Island would have to go all the way to UC Davis. So it's not
Mhm.
like that. So yeah, I don't know about that draw. I don't love that draw for NDSU, but hey, as a player, you're like, whatever, whoever comes in, good luck.
Just
Right?
go and win. And let's talk about the Bison here because I mentioned it. Let's do a little year in review here while we have a moment with you. To go undefeated in the regular season in Missouri Valley Football Conference play, describe how difficult that is because what this team has done this year, I think, has been pretty special.
Well, it's what I've said is it's more rare than winning a national championship, right? It's
Yeah.
only the fourth time it's been done, I believe. Only happened once in my career. Dom and I talked about this after the last game, and
Mhm.
I was trying to kind of, think about it. How do you even put this into words? But like, the Valley is, I know it's not as top heavy as it has been, right? At least this year, with it's really NDSU at the top, and then it's kind of everyone else. But we know, again, we brought up Illinois State, we brought up Southern Illinois, Youngstown State, like there, South Dakota State, South Dakota, like there's teams right there every single week that are capable of beating you if you don't bring your best. And
Mhm.
it's hard for 12 weeks, especially coming off a training or fall camp. It's hard for 12 weeks to come out, and you're never going to play a perfect game, and it's not always going to be at your best. So you're going to face adversity, and it is extremely difficult to try and find a way to win every single one of those games in a league like this. So many things can happen throughout a season. There could be off-field issues, right? There could be injuries. For whatever reason, you just come out that day and things aren't clicking offensively like we saw up in Grand Forks, and you have to try and find a way to win. So yeah, it's one of the hardest things to do. Obviously, like it hasn't happened since 2019. So I give, you'd have to start. There's going to be a long list of people, but like start with the coaching staff for
Mhm.
sure. The fact, and
Yep.
obviously ton of credit goes to the players, but the coaching staff, the strength staff, nutrition, the athletic trainers, getting everyone ready to go and being locked in for that many weeks in a row. It's super impressive. And as a former player, you realize how difficult that is.
No doubt, no doubt. Cole Payton, is he a Walter Payton guy, or are we thinking Bo Brungard's right there? What's your hot take on this?
My hot take is that it's not a hot take. It's super difficult to try and to me, like the argument always goes like, do you pick the best player on the best team? Like, do you give them the advantage, right? Or do you give the
Mhm.
advantage to someone to me who, and this is not a slight at Cole Payton at all, but like Bo Brungard is more valuable to
Yeah,
that team. Like
fair.
Youngstown State is not nearly as good top to bottom. You're talking special teams, offense, defense, as NDSU is. So if you take Bo Brungard out of that team, I don't know how many games they win. Stats wise, again, I don't have them in front of me, but Bo Brungard is like video game numbers,
Yep,
right? I mean, he's
yep.
putting up, it's like every game you look and it's like 3 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing, or vice versa, or maybe it's 7 total. Like, so in terms of stats, yeah, it's going to be Bo Brungard. In terms of I think the thing that might end up hurting Cole Payton just a little bit is the fact that I think he went like 2 or 3 games in the Valley without a passing touch. So like he cooled off from that hot start that we saw. Do I think he's worthy? Absolutely. But hey, at the end of the day, I don't get a vote. So
That's fair. That's fair.
good luck to those that have to.
Right? It is a stats award. That's what it's been. We'll see if Cole Payton can get there. Again, that ceremony will be in Nashville this year, right before the national championship game. Before we let you go, how bad does Nebraska lose today?
Yeah, it's gonna be bad. My brother-in-law and my nephew actually just took off. They're going to the game.
Oh, and you're
It's
sticking
supposed to
around
be
to
like,
help us out. I
well,
appreciate that, man. I
yeah.
really do.
Well, trust me, I think I'd rather be here. It's gonna be 27 degrees. I haven't watched much of Iowa, but obviously Mark Gronowski's like their first mobile quarterback in like 30 years, I
Mhm.
think. So they're always physical. I don't believe in Nebraska in the trenches. It's gonna be a cold game. Nebraska's quarterback is a true freshman from California. And as I mentioned, it's going to be the 20s. I see it being a low scoring game. I would not be shocked, Sam. So I don't know if you know this, for the last 2 years, it's been 13-10 Iowa. They've won in the exact same fashion, Nebraska has the ball with the game tied. They turn it over. Iowa kicks a game-winning field goal. It would not shock me if something like that happens again. I think it'll be closer than we think, but at the same time, if it's like a 27-10 Iowa victory, I wouldn't be surprised either.
I think they lose by 2 scores, and I just want you to sit on that for the rest of the day because you know how great my picks are. Maybe it's good juju for Nebraska.
Oh, I did want to announce that quickly, by the way. I did come back and tied Jeff Kolpak.
You did
I don't
do
know
that.
if you guys talked about that.
Not yet. So you're back in the running for the Bison Game Day pick'ems. I think the tiebreaker is this first week when we come back. So we'll see. You better get your wheels turning here because this is a big week for you.
Jeff told me we were going to arm wrestle. So
I like that idea better. My suggestion was a field goal kicking contest. Jeff was the one who brought up the arm wrestling contest. I would pay to see that.
I'm in for that. That'll be quick. It'll be done really fast, and I like my chances.
I love that. Hey, I appreciate you for joining us. Thanks for coming on this morning. Go have fun in Schuyler. Do whatever you do there, and we'll see you when you get back.
Hey, great to see you, Sam. Happy Thanksgiving.
You too. Great to talk with Kyle Emanuel. That conversation brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. Looking ahead to the FCS playoffs, a little recap of the Bison season so far. A lot more to come. We'll do a deeper dive into that FCS bracket when we come back. We're running out of time here. I totally lost track of time, so we got to get back on track. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll get you ready for hour number 2. A reminder for you, Dean Wilson will join us. We'll chat some hockey with him coming up later on the show. Hot Mic rolls on after this. Big thank you to Kyle Emanuel for joining us on this Friday morning. Again, his conversation brought to you by Northwestern Mutual on this Black Friday. We got to catch back up on time, so we're going back to break. When we come back, our guy Dean Wilson will join us. We'll talk some hockey to start hour number 2 when we come back.
This is Hot Mic. Hot Mic. On the networks of WDAY. WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
Back for hour number 2 on this Friday morning. Thanks for joining us on this Black Friday edition of the show on WDAY Extra, KSFL TV in Sioux Falls, KNBN in Rapid City, also streaming on Inform.com and WDAY+. Excited for this second hour. I blocked off pretty much the entire hour for our guy Dean Wilson so he can let it fly here for as long as he wants. Football season's in full swing. Basketball season's just getting started, but really we're getting into our favorite time of the year as well, and that's the hockey season. NHL is going, college hockey's been going, but now high school is joining the fold, and had to bring in our expert, Dean Wilson, fresh off a monstrous Thanksgiving feast yesterday he was telling me about. How's your holiday, man? It's good to see you. I haven't seen you in forever.
Yeah, it's good to hear your voice and see you again too, Sam. The holiday was great. Like I said, we had the Waltons over yesterday. I mean, I got 4 daughters, 6 grandkids. I think I would tell people, if you want to come and see me, visit anytime. If you want to see my house, give me 3 days to clean it. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. My mom's in the same boat. We got done yesterday. She did a great job of cleaning up the place, making it look nice for our family to come over. Once the nephews, myself, my brother, and my sister-in-law came around, that place was a mess all over again.
No, yeah, I got Lego marks all over my feet.
Love that. I imagine you're not a turkey trot guy, are you?
Oh, for the race, you mean yesterday?
Yeah.
Heck,
run
no.
around?
I mean, I told people I was great at track and field until he took the 10-yard dash out, and I quit. Too long a race for me.
That's a fair point. The 10 yards is about double what I would do. I'll tell you that much. You got the Santa beer going already. I love that. Are you in full Christmas mood right now?
I am, but everybody goes, you're going to go Black Friday. I can't go out. I got kids sitting on my lap.
Yeah, exactly. We have people thinking Santa Claus walking around the mall early. We're not even in December
exactly. Yet. I have kids staring at me. They don't know what the deal is, and I just kind of smile. It's all beautiful, right?
Absolutely. Well, it's great to see you, man. We'll chat about the hockey season here. I want to get into some football with you in just a second, but you may have heard with Kyle, my burning take for the day, and I wanted to get some retribution for the pumpkin pies of the world. I'm a big pumpkin pie guy. Did you have pumpkin pie at your Thanksgiving meal, and what's your stance on that?
Well, I was listening to you two guys chat, and I'm with Kyle. Sam, pumpkin pie is your go-to over
Thank you.
birthday cake.
Yeah, it's great. It's fantastic.
Crazy,
I love the thing.
Well, my mother-in-law used to make a lemon meringue from fresh lemons from Arizona to die for. So that would be my kicking out one. But you know what?
Yeah.
I'm a guy that throw a little bit of 4 scoops of whipping cream on pumpkin pie, and it's good for me too.
It's pretty good. I will stand by it. My next birthday, when I turn 27 next September, it'll be only pumpkin pie. Now, Grant, I have key lime pie sitting in my fridge right now.
Oh, that's good too.
I'm excited to give that a taste because I didn't eat any yesterday. Let's get to the business. We were talking off air about the FCS playoffs. We had Kyle on, but what does Kyle know? I want to get your thoughts on everything. UND's in the fold here. I know you're a big UND guy. Did you think they were going to make the playoffs?
You know what? It's I wasn't sure. The things that I want to throw out, first of all, and I'm a diehard UND guy.
Yeah.
But I'll throw out, good job to the Bison head coach. He deserves it. They got this NIL money. They're paying all these players. Take care of a good coach.
Mm-hmm.
And I always look at things on the sideline. And, I was at a North-South football game, and he's on the sideline. He's right there. He's doing the right things in the community. And Kyle alluded to it. It's the whole package.
Yeah.
It's about, being a good politician, to being a great coach, hiring a great staff.
Mm-hmm.
And he's done that. And I'm a UND guy, and I like up north, that I'm pumped for those guys. But you become an architect, you surround yourself with great people. And at UND, we don't have that far to study what a great program's about. And we want to catch them. And then getting back to being in the playoffs, I was at a couple games there, and I go, doggone it. I mean, even with the UND SU game, the UND had a shot to beating them, and they just kind of let it slide. And then I was at the game last week. Same thing. I'm going, we got it, and let it slide again. They got to finish. They got to finish. A win is a win.
I agree.
So getting in there, I'm pretty pumped. I didn't think they would, but I'm pumped they are. Maybe they're running the Bison in the semis again to get another shot at them.
They could. I could see it happening. I like the little pod that they're in. Tarleton State, Lehigh got the 2 first-round buys. They got Tennessee Tech. Does anybody know anything about Tennessee Tech? I don't think so. We're going to find out come noon tomorrow. Do you got a pick for who's winning the thing? Are you on the Bison train, or you think North Dakota can pull out a run?
You know what? I'm a coach. I'm a realist. I'm always going to go for UND, but I'm proud of them in Fargo, and I'm not one of these crazy guys going against the Bison and wanting them to lose because they're the real deal. And I just, the guys they get interviewed, I look at the players interviewed, class act, doing the right things, and I wish them well to the semis.
Absolutely.
If they're playing UND.
Absolutely. We'll see how that goes. And again, you nailed it on the head. If you got a guy in the coaching staff who's doing what he's done and running a program the way that he's running it, you waste no expense to try to keep him around. It's great for the school. It's great for the program. It's great for the community as well. And we're happy for Coach Polasek, and we'll see what they can do in the postseason. Let's get down to the brass tacks here. And of course, as I mentioned, the hockey season, especially with high school, is in full swing now. There's hockey in rinks all over the Midwest happening this weekend. You coached for a long time. What is Thanksgiving weekend like for some of these players? Give us some perspective, because this is when things really get going, isn't it?
Well, it's when trials are finishing up and stuff. And we talked about that, my wife and I, actually, because, she's from up by Thief River, Carlson, small town. We take 2 vehicles up. I'd stay here. You roll into 2 holidays, when you coach, and sometimes 3 holidays. And you're the mighty Fargo Force, where you got Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Easter, but you're still rolling. But it's an exciting time of the year. And you got tryouts, you started, there's some games already. I actually went and saw, I call it North-South versus Shanley, which was very exciting to see. Just, I want to see if they can compete. How good are they? Little kinks, you don't want to peak the first game, right? But it was a good game, and it was fun to watch. And I coached both those schools, South by myself and Shanley by myself, when you didn't co-op. And it's fun to see Shanley's jersey pop out again. I smile when I see the red. And North-South, they were a good team. Well, they won the game 3-2, and it was a good game. Flip a coin who could have won that game, but, North-South came on top.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And I want to get your thoughts on that because I don't think we've had you on the show until then. I think you might have done a piece with us on WDAY on the news part when Shanley announced that they were going to go solo. Again, this isn't the first time that that's been the case. We're watching the highlights from that game that you were just mentioning. I do love those Shanley jerseys, by the way. The initial reaction from you, Dean, when this came out, Shanley was going to go solo, and just the numbers at South just haven't been what they used to be. And it's all about giving kids opportunity, so they co-op with North. What was your initial reaction when that news came out? Because this changes the landscape, especially out of the East, of North Dakota high school hockey this year.
I had a lot of mixed emotions, because I was at Shanley when we were by ourselves, and we had some good players. I'll throw out, from the Sandys to the Mathesons to the Noahs, some good good players that played for, and we were good, and then the numbers went down a little bit. And then they co-op, I got the co-op going with Wapton Wayne the day with Shanley. And then the next day I get hired myself. So Wapton wasn't happy with me, but that's how it played out. And then they went with West Fargo and come back. And now I think it's a good fit, where they're going with all the private schools, and co-oping with them. And I tell the story before Davies was built, I'd have 150 guys try out at South. 110 were done. And we didn't have junior gold or midget or nothing. Yeah. They were done.
Yeah.
That was tough, so they needed a place to go. I was glad they built Davies, but and then it just made sense to part your ways when you got, I don't know exact numbers, but the ratio was like 15 players and 4 from Shanley to South.
Yeah. Yep.
And so it just made sense to go. I know Shanley, they've got a youth program, the Angels, and you have the Fargo Freezers, a youth program, so they keep building, and it's, it's ready. You hope they keep the consistency. There's many factors. I'm rambling on about it because there's many factors, like to outfit a player, it's $1,400.
Right.
So now Shanley's picking up that bill, versus what South was paying for uniforms and equipment stuff. So, and they have finance and they'll take care of it and do fine with that. But to go on their own, I like it, and the only thing I don't like is my heart's with South. We're Fargo South. And when I was there, we are the prima powers in every sport. You know what I mean? It was just a big school. I used to tease. We're like the 10th largest city in North Dakota until they built
Davies down there. Yeah.
But yeah, so it was that's my soft spot. But there's some good kids. You guys interviewed Skyler, from South. Great kid, good player. He's on the second line, doing well, and they'll give him that little bit of extra little frosting on the cake to make North stronger, so North-South.
Right. Well, let's look at the season here. Let's get a little preview here. Of course, last year we saw Grand Forks Central win their 30th state championship. You and I were up at the Ralph for that. That was a really good game against Red River. We know the Grand Forks teams are going to be good. That's always been the case. Central, I think, is returning like 70% of their offense from last year. They're going to be dynamite. Red River's reloading once again. What are some teams on the boys' side that are intriguing for you as we get ready for the 25-26 season?
The word on the street, and I talked to several of the coaches already, they got obviously Central number one and then Red River right behind them. But the other coaches feel good about it. They're a little stronger. They got guys coming back. I text a lot of guys, Metcalf with Davies, he's excited. He won't say it, but I'll say it. I think his big factor, his son's really stepped up as a stronger goalie. They won the other night, beating up Minot. I think it was North-South beat Minot, 2 Minots, ranked, I think, number 2 out west behind Bismarck Century, So, after the top 2, I think you're going to have a lot of the big buzz is parity, right?
Right.
I think there's going to be some battles in there, and you stay healthy, no injuries, no sickness. I think they're going to do well, and I think teams are going to be a little bit stronger. And I like that, I'm rambling on, but like out west too, another factor, you got Mandan, the guy that Mike Peluso's back involved. He's the hockey director. This is the guy that, he played at Duluth. He played for Chicago Pro. He's the real, he knows hockey. He knows what to put in place. So he'll be a good addition with the Mandan program. You got the Lamoureux out there. You got hockey people out there that know what they're doing.
I'd be really curious to see what the West can do this year. we watched them last year, and the Western teams for the last couple of years, they just had such a hard time getting through that first round of the state tournament. Then they finally break through last year with a couple of teams going, Minot making a run to the semifinal round. They put together a really good performance at the state tournament. I'll be really curious to see how the West can follow that up this season. And like you mentioned, they got hockey dudes through and through over there. I think I'll be curious to see how they match up with the East.
Well, historically, the top couple out west always do well. Good teams, they've always been to the Bismarcks, Minot, and every so often another team will trickle in some good. I always talked about maybe the lack of depth on a team, and then the other piece is it's a different world of people leaving.
Right.
They're getting plucked now. These guys are getting advisors in ninth grade, and they're leaving. There's so many opportunities to play where you can play 50 games and better competition maybe and player development. So I get mad when these guys leave. But, I'll give an example. And he was the coach's son, but superstar, I think, goalie for, I think it was Hazen Beulah, does he stay there or not? And I had, way in the day, I had a guy there leave and come and play for me as a goalie. And he was the best goalie in the state, and we won a state title. Now everybody's mad except for me because we win it. But they're mad at that he left Hazen Beulah, and he came to us, and he had an opportunity maybe to have more success down the road.
Right. And you and I were talking off air before we got on here, talking about players leaving, players coming back. We were reminiscing on what the Moorhead Spuds did this season in football, and just looking across the other sideline with Edina, seeing guys like Mason West, that Berngard that had a really good game at running back for over 300 yards. He's a great goalie as well. He's sticking around to finish out the year. The Moorhead, just to put Moorhead in there, they're having guys come back from juniors to finish out their high school season. It's something that we're probably not going to see a ton of, but I think it's pretty unique and interesting. These guys with good opportunity to play high-level hockey coming back to finish their high school seasons. I think that's huge for the game. Don't you agree?
I do. We're all on fast forward. Everybody wants to go. Everybody wants to go. And things that I learned, I would bring up guys in the past. Chuck Ness used to coach at Central, and he said, you know what? Physically, a lot of these guys are ready, but mentally, are they ready?
Right.
I tell guys, you think I'm mean as a high school coach? Go play juniors where it's about winning more so. They're more direct and right at you. And I had guys leave and came with their tail between their legs because they weren't mentally prepared to do that. And I tell everybody that goes on, I talked to Kessel at South. I said, I'll give you a little advice because I'm the goat of advice here is that work hard while you wait. Because these guys have never sat the bench in their lives.
Yeah.
And then another thing, getting back to Edina, they're running back 6 touchdowns. He's their number one goalie.
Pretty good.
And then their quarterback, what do you say, got drafted by, what did we say, Chicago?
Chicago, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, go with the seasons. Research-based, Dr. Phil Johnson says about preventing injuries. I love going from football, hockey to track. We go with the seasons, new teammates. It was fun. And you're always stiff going to the next season because you're using different muscle groups, But these guys are dudes. And like I said, everybody's fast forward. I'm excited the guys are coming back to Moorhead. And now I watch teams like last year do a game, and I go, I feel like I'm watching a college game. The skill set.
I know.
And what's wrong with winning a state title? What's wrong with being Mr. Hockey? Everybody's on fast forward, and then you're done and going, I never won anything because I kept going to the next level.
Right.
Enjoy it.
Right, exactly. And to go back on Edina, that running back that we're talking about, Chase Bjorgard, who had that really good game, great goaltender. We saw him in the state tournament last year. His number one sport's probably baseball. And you talk about playing multiple sports. I mean, that's such a crucial thing for these kids.
Well, I brought it up the other day. I knew Darren Erstead at Jamestown. Tim Sandy played for me. Rick Helling. These guys had scholarships in 3 sports.
Yep.
Rick Helling goes up to UD to start football. He leaves and he leaves to go to college, and then he's a pitcher for pro baseball. So these guys that went with the season, they were just good athletes. And Erstead and Sandy were centers. They could pick the puck out of the air before the official could drop it. I mean, they're that skill set. but they're just good all-rounded athletes. And I got to throw out to Mitch Vig in Bismarck. He said, if you don't quit a sport, how do you look forward to the next season or the next sport? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, what do you got to look forward to?
Right.
And I got grandkids that, they're playing sports, and I don't want to bag on any sport, but they go all year long with the same sport. And I don't think that's healthy.
Right. No, I agree with you. And again, we'll see what these teams can do. Moorhead's going to be really good on the Minnesota side. We'll see if they can rematch with Edina later on in the year. Looking forward to that. Moorhead's off to a good start in the season in the high school hockey world as well. Side note to that, I was back home. I was watching some New Prague hockey, and to go off of your point, I caught my first New Prague hockey game in a couple of years. Man, the difference, the night and day with what Moorhead's doing. So we'll see if New Prague can make a run this year, but keep an eye out for my Trojans. But it is night and day from what we see up here in the north. There's no doubt. A couple of minutes left here with our guy Dean Wilson. Dean, I got to ask you. I was just looking it up here. UND hockey. Have you been following along with your Fighting Hawks this year? How are they looking?
They're looking really well, but the thing we kick is that parity. Of course, I'm a diehard UND guy, so I got to lay low on the Gophers. But they rip apart the Gophers Friday night. I go to the game Saturday, and the Gophers, they had their way with UND Saturday, and a big swing like that to sweep. Usually, the sweep at home is a lot easier. The sweep on the road, but. Just the parity, and these guys, they're just such great players. And I'll throw out this stir a little bit. You got the guy from Penn State making $750 a year, and I think Ben Strin, former Shanley player, I think he's got more points than them. So pay Strin some cash flow now too, But they just the parity, the players, it's always hard when you know everybody with change. With Dane Jackson doing well, and they know what they got to work on, but just the parity out there. And then I pick on the Big Ten with the NIL money, open portal. 194 guys went in the open portal last year. 40 dropped down in the division, and I don't know. And Brett Larson at St. Cloud, he said the best thing. He said, I tell my guys, if you go to 4 different schools with the open portal, you're pretty busy in the summertime with the alumni golf tournaments.
Right, exactly.
And I thought that was just clever, but the loyalty, sticking with programs, and it's just a thing. Open with the juniors now, where they can come down to the United States, vice versa. Americans going up, so it's a different world to recruit. I talk about the Big Ten. I go, the money they got, for instance, the Gophers, their athletic budget is bigger than St. Cloud's college budget.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the cash flow, and how do you compete? Bison football too, you raise money, and everybody's got the sugar daddies and mummies that give money to the program, but it's a dog world. And segueing back to hockey, I'm liking what I'm seeing from UND, and it'll be interesting how it plays out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they got a home with Bemidji State this weekend, and then next week it's rivalry week between you and I. I don't know if we'll be on speaking terms, but they're down in St. Cloud next week, so we'll see how that goes. Dean, I appreciate you coming on. I got one more for you, and I want to get your thoughts on this. I know we're running long here, but we'll get to break in a second. You're a Canadian guy. What are your thoughts on college hockey plucking guys out of the WHL? We've been seeing that more and more recently. Have you been following along with this? What are your thoughts on these Canadian stars coming down to the NCAA?
Well, like I said, I'm from Thunder Bay, Ontario, and then and I don't want to bag on Thunder Bay, but the Lakehead University, the Lakehead Hockey, they got a good, strong college hockey program, but all of a sudden somebody dangles some American currency at 30% on the dollar to have you come down to the United States. I mean, where are you going to find that cash? So, but they're giving kids an opportunity that you play juniors, you play a little longer. Like I tell people, I went to UND as a 17-year-old freshman, and I don't think you're mentally ready for that yet. So the guys are playing a few more years, because it's a different jump from high school to juniors to college, and obviously the pro.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with it. Just if you can give more players an opportunity, but once again, the NIL money, they're pro athletes now.
Right.
I'm all about loyalty, and we play 4 years together as players. The open portal, guys moving what's best for me. the Penn State guy, he's already talking about his pro career next year. And I don't know if that was in the locker room with me. Maybe I'd be upset with that. I don't know.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, we'll see how that plays out in the future with college hockey. Again, UND in action this weekend. We'll remind you that a little bit later on, home and home with Bemidji State. Dino, it's great to hear from you, man. It's been a long time no see. We've been busy with our own things, but hockey season's here. I'll be looking forward to get back in on the mic here with you.
Yeah, it'd be good to get the band back together
Absolutely.
again. And yeah, enjoy your holidays. You're rocking it, doing what you're doing with Kyle and Dom and that. It's fun to watch, and then I'll leave with go Sioux.
There you go. Well, Zoom's already given us the boot, so we got to get you out of here. Go enjoy the rest of your weekend. I hope you had a great holidays. We'll see you later, Dean.
Bye now. Thank you.
Dean Wilson joining us, our residential hockey analyst. I also forgot to mention he's our expert on charcuterie boards. That's a story for another day. We'll get into that a little bit later on. Be looking forward to hearing more from Dean as the hockey season goes on. That being said, we're due for another break. We run long again, so we'll get back on track when we come back on this Friday morning edition of Hot Mic. Great to hear from our guy, Dean Wilson, on this Friday morning to help wrap up the holiday week. Once again, thanks for joining us. Sam Getzinger filling in for Dom Izzo. Dom will be back on Monday. He's off enjoying a nice long weekend with the fam after a big Thanksgiving yesterday. Appreciate you for joining us on WDAY Extra, KSFL TV, and KNBN in Rapid City, also streaming on inform.com. Just to wrap up the conversation we were having with Dean, looking at the North Dakota high school hockey season, which is right into full swing. This weekend is a big weekend. You got games and barns all over the upper Midwest. Looking at the preseason coaches poll at the beginning of the year, we talked about Grand Forks Central and Grand Forks Red River. Those two are 1 and 2. Central won the championship last year. They returned 70% of their offense from a season ago. They know they got the targets on their backs, but man, that's going to be the team to beat. I have a feeling that's going to be the team to beat out on the boys' side. There's no doubt. Red River's going to be right there in their back pocket, and I'll be very curious to see what this co-op between Fargo North and South will do now that Shanley is separated and gone off to their own thing. You saw the highlights while Dean was up. The game back on Tuesday was a 3-2 win for Fargo North over Shanley, the first meeting they'll have this year. The Spartans are right there in that 3 spot. Davies is in the 4 spot in the preseason poll, and then Bismarck Century, the first team out of the West, rounds out the top 5. So Central, Red River, North, Davies, and Century. And then Minot United now, with Minot North in the fold, is in the mix over there too. And can't forget about the girls' side of things, where everything stands right now. Legacy's going to be good. They had a good run last year. North-South, after a stunner last season to wrap up the year, they were going for another consecutive title. It just came up a little bit short. I imagine they'll reload and refresh. They'll be just fine. Grand Forks and Bismarck Century are in that top mix right now where we stand right at the beginning of the season. We're a couple of games in. We got plenty of time left on the year, but that's kind of a rundown of what you can see at the start of the North Dakota high school hockey season. Moorhead's in action this week. I believe they got War Road either today or tomorrow. I'll have to double check on that, but a big weekend for them as well. And like I was saying, I caught high school hockey while I was back home this last week watching my New Prague Trojans against Owatonna in a barn burner, 7-5 win for the Trojans. The disparity, New Prague's a double-A team just like Moorhead is. There's a big gap. There is a massive gap. What Moorhead's doing is really good. They're returning guys. Also be remiss if we didn't say congratulations to Zach Zimmerman as well, announcing his commitment to Minnesota State Mankato just the other day. Moorhead's going to be on the move. I imagine they'll be back in the state championship conversation coming up here soon. Before we go into break, I wanted to remind you of our upcoming Game of the Week schedule, and we got some more hockey coming up this next week when we return and get back into the full swing of things out of the holiday break. Coming up on Tuesday, we got high school hockey, West Fargo Cheyenne at Fargo Davies. That'll be a good one. 7 o'clock start time for that on WDAY Extra. St. Michael, Albertville, and Moorhead. We'll get our first look at the Spuds on the networks of WDAY next Thursday. 7 o'clock puck drop in Moorhead. You can catch that on WDAY Extra. And then we got basketball doubleheader on Friday with Minot at Horace and DGF at Hawley. The Horace game on Extra, the Hawley game on WDAY2, both starting at 7 o'clock. And then Bison football and basketball next Saturday. Bison football awaiting their opponent, Illinois State. Or will it be southeastern Louisiana? We'll have to see. We don't know too much about SELA just yet, but we'll see what they do coming up tomorrow. We'll take a deeper look into the FCS playoff bracket here in just a little bit. But again, Bison basketball returns home next Saturday, taking on Northern Arizona. And I want to give the Bison basketball teams a shout-out in our next segment when we come back, because they've been traveling around the country. Their road stretch, their non-conference stretch is still going. They got some Thanksgiving weekend games happening earlier this week, and also today. We'll give them a shout-out when we come back on Hot Mic. A lot more to get to as we roll on this Black Friday morning edition of Hot Mic. We'll continue on when we come back. Couple of minutes left to go here on this Friday morning edition of Hot Mic on WDAY Extra. Big thank you to our guests today, Kyle Emanuel and Dean Wilson, for joining us to wrap up the week. Sam Getzinger filling in for Dom Izzo as we get ready for a fun weekend of sports ahead. And I wanted to give a shout-out to North Dakota State basketball. Of course, college basketball is huge during the Thanksgiving time. You can't go anywhere on your TV guide without finding some sort of game, except for an NDSU game. The men's basketball team is in Jonesboro, Arkansas, for a couple of games. They beat Jacksonville State the other day in a pretty low-scoring affair, 56-43. Damari Wheeler-Thomas led the team with 10 points, and the defense was pretty good. They held Jacksonville State to 26% from the field the other day, 13 of 50 down in Arkansas. Now, I would love to show you the highlights of that game. I'm sure Dom would have loved to when that game happened as well, but there's no video stream, or there was no video stream of it, and I can't get over it in this day and age where we have video cameras at every Pee Wee football game in the country and basketball game in the country, but none for mid-major Division I basketball. I couldn't believe it. But nonetheless, North Dakota State men's basketball, to get you updated on them, they've now won the last 5 games in a row. Really impressive stretch here for head coach Dave Richmond. They are back in action today at 2 o'clock against Arkansas State. Now, the good news is that this will be on television if you want to watch it. It'll be on ESPN+. Of course, both games are on the radio as well. But North Dakota State will be back in action against Arkansas State, looking for 6 in a row if they can get it done. And then they head to Montana next week on Wednesday for a date with the Grizz from Montana. That should be exciting. And as I told you in our last segment, we'll have the game for you next Saturday when they're back at the Shack against Northern Arizona. Now, the other deal, Bison women's basketball team is traveling for this Thanksgiving holiday. They're down in Jacksonville, Florida for the Osprey Thanksgiving Classic. And there's a whole other deal. They're playing right now. And we'll give you an update on how that game's going in a second. But you can't watch it. It's not on TV anywhere. There's no cameras in the gym, apparently, for the Osprey Thanksgiving Classic. So the 2 games they have there, they have the Campbell Fighting Camels. That game is happening right now. And then they have Bethune-Cookman tomorrow, 10 o'clock start time for that. A little early morning Bison basketball. It's not streamed. You can listen to it. I just don't understand how there's how there's nothing in Jacksonville to film that. I get it's the holiday weekend, but that's a whole nother can of worms. But to give you an update on what the Bison women's basketball team is doing right now, they're at the halftime break. It looks like they're up on the Campbell Fighting Camels, 37-25. Marissa Frost is having a really good game, by the way. This is from earlier. Started with 7 points on 2 of 3 shooting. She's up to 14 right now. 2 of 3 from deep, 3 of 4 from the field, and 6 of 6 from the free throw line. So a really good sign that Marissa Frost is coming along here lately. That's great. She's in double digits, as is Abby Kraswinski right now at the halftime break. 13 points. She's 3 of 5 from deep. She also leads the team with 6 rebounds. The Bison currently, to give you an update since you can't watch it, are shooting 42% from the field. Again, leading Campbell 37-25. They'll play again tomorrow. It'll be on the radio, but you can't watch it. They got Bethune-Cookman coming up tomorrow at 10 in the morning. UND basketball, the men's basketball team is in Hawaii today. Really, really late start time for this one. They got the Rainbow Warriors later on tonight. 11 p.m. tip-off. Is anybody going to be awake for that? 11 p.m. tip-off in Hawaii for UND men's basketball. And then they have another late start. They hit the road quickly after that to go to Moscow, Idaho, to take on the Vandals for an 8 p.m. start time there later on this weekend. The UND women's basketball team is also on the road for the holiday break. They're in the Virgin Islands. I couldn't point out the Virgin Islands. If you limited a map and gave it to me, I wouldn't be able to tell you where that is. But they're playing in the Paradise Jam. They lost to Boise State yesterday, and they will play Elon later today at 11:30 on ESPN+. So the non-conference schedule is rolling on here. Bison women's basketball, they'll be back home on Wednesday against Montana State. We will not have that game for you on WDAY Extra. That has been picked up by the CBS Sports Network to start the Big Sky Summit League Challenge. So next Wednesday, you can catch the Bison women's basketball team on the CBS Sports Network. And again, Bison men's basketball back at home against Northern Arizona coming up next Saturday. Just wanted to give you an update on where everything's at. If you want a scoreboard watch today or tune into the radio for NDSU women's basketball, they're up at the break against Campbell. So that's your live update there, if you will, on a very interesting sports weekend. We got teams starting in every sport at very different times. So you got wall-to-wall coverage. We got NFL football starting in a couple of hours here today. So we give you a full breakdown when we get into what to watch in our next segment. We'll step aside when we come back. We got to look at our eliminator graphic or bracket and see where everybody's at. Sounds like I'm still in the mix, apparently, so that's great news. We'll give you a rundown on what to watch for today and for this weekend, and a whole lot more as we wrap up Hot Mic on this Friday morning. We'll be right back. All right, a couple of minutes left to go on this Friday morning. We appreciate you for joining us to wrap up this holiday week. Hot Mic on WDAY Extra, KSFL TV, Inform.com, also KNBN in Rapid City. I want to remind you, if you didn't catch it yesterday, we didn't have Dom's dad on the show this morning. So if you're looking for him and you missed him, he was on the show yesterday. He had a couple of picks in the NFL because things are going to ramp up here as we go through the weekend. His holiday picks, Thanksgiving picks, I should say, were Green Bay, Kansas City, and Baltimore. So he went 1 for 3 on those. If you missed his picks yesterday, to give you the rundown on a couple other ones there, obviously he did not pick the Jets. Unfortunately, he went with Atlanta in that game. I'm more upset. He picked Houston over Indianapolis. What's going on, Mr. Izzo? I thought we were cool. Now, granted, he probably knew that Daniel Jones has a fractured fibula, but nonetheless. So those were some of Dom's dad's picks. If you missed him yesterday, went 1 for 3 yesterday as we get ready for a full slate of football coming up here pretty soon. Now, the Eliminator's fully going. We revamped the Eliminator Challenge. I believe the Jackman, Dom's son, won the first go-around, so started up another one, and granted, I've been busy for the last couple Fridays, so I haven't been able to follow along as intently as I would have liked, but it sounds like I'm still in it. So let's get an update on where we're at with our Hot Mic Eliminator Challenge, because I think I got a good shot to win this thing. I love that. That looks fantastic. All right, where are we at in this eliminator? It's down to just me and Eric. Oh man, the herd has thinned quickly. There's no doubt about that. Okay, so in the eliminator this week, Eric, my opponent, has decided to go with Denver. Denver's playing Sunday Night Football against Washington. Currently, Denver is -6. They're favored to win that game against the Commanders, so we'll see what happens there. 7:20 on NBC coming up on Sunday. I'm hoping to go for the win. I'm rooting for the Commanders this week, but I'm going with the Rams. I'm going with did I pick the Rams yet? No, I didn't. So I'm going to go with the Rams at Carolina. It's a noon start time on Fox. The Rams are 10-point favorites in this ball game, so I think I got a really good chance. I'm hoping the Commanders can finally pull one out. But that's an update on our Eliminator Challenge. Everybody else has been bracketed off, so that's where we stand. Quickly, let's get into our what to watch for tonight. A lot of things happening tonight. As we mentioned, NDSU women's basketball is playing right now. Go ahead and pop that up on the screen. I know we got to get going here. Women's basketball is playing right now. Later on today, we have NFL football, Chicago at Philadelphia, 2 o'clock start time on Prime Video. And if you're looking for some hockey later on, UND taking on Bemidji State. Do we have time? Throw up the weekend one. There we go. FCS playoffs start tomorrow. UND at Tennessee Tech. That's a biggie. Noon on ESPN+. All Bison fans will be watching Illinois State at Southeast Louisiana. Noon on ESPN+ as well. And the Vikings play this weekend. Max Brosmer potentially getting the start against the Seahawks. Big thank you to Kyle Emanuel and for Dean Wilson for joining us. Hopefully I kept the chair warm. Dom will be back on Monday. Enjoy your holiday weekend. We'll see you next week.